African American history. In 1740 and 1750, and this is where I'm going to not go for 2 hours, because if I start in 1740, it's going to take me 2 hours to get to 1960, right? In 1740 and 1750, there were these two ports over here called, one was called Georgetown, was the other called Alexandria. But back in the 1750s, they were not called Georgetown and Alexandria, they were called Port Tobacco. There was one name, Port Tobacco. Those ports at Port Tobacco dealt in two products. One was tobacco, and the other one was slaves. Two products, slaves and tobacco. This was tobacco territory, y'all. This was, you know, we black history scholars, we say that America's wealth, which is significant, America's wealth was founded on 5 terms, 5 words: sugar, tobacco, rice, cotton, and slaves. That's America's wealth. That's where America got its wealth for the first 300 years. This was tobacco territory, this was slave territory. In 1791, Washington, D.C. became the nation's capital, and it began to get developed. Who do you think developed it?
We did.
You did. Laborers did. Hello. Laborers developed Washington, D.C. You built the White House, you built the monument, you built the Capitol. You know that in the mall, down the middle of the mall was a canal? That was a canal. It was called Tiber Creek. You know Tiber Creek Apartments over in Southwest? That was Tiber Creek. Who drained the canal to build in the dirt in the mall? Laborers. Hello. Slaves. And they didn't have bulldozers back then. No bulldozers in 1791. They physically put that dirt in a cart and physically took it to the mall and filled in that creek. So there's a long history of black labor in this city. In fact, one of the first black labor unions in the city is 1806 in Georgetown. It was the leather workers, the guys who made shoes. It's one of the first unions in Washington, D.C. in 1806. I'm going to answer your question in 1 second. And this is where I want to come back, if I could, to actually give the history of black labor and black history of Washington, D.C. some other time. And not tonight, because it will take me a good 30, 40 minutes to actually do it properly. But I wanted to start with that to say to you that you have an enormously proud history here. And you built the White House, you built this, you were the first in the nation to be emancipated. That's why D.C. government is off on April 16th. Every year it's called Emancipation Day. D.C. government shuts down. Because in D.C., the first slaves to be freed were in Washington, D.C. And why? And this is important. Why? They were freed in Washington, D.C.